after all the money I paid for this. I guess if it happens again, let me know and we'll try to figure out some plan B or C or whatever we're up to. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, back to this. So friction. So we got the normal, we dealt with that connection. We got 3 more places where we got normal force pairs.
The car or the truck in the road,
Okay?
the
Which
truck
way
is
is it?
going this way, so friction is that way,
On,
the truck,
friction's that way on the truck.
yes.
Ultimately, if friction's that way on the truck,
It wouldn't be moving. No, you go ahead and finish.
what's the direction of acceleration?
That way.
There has to be some force in that direction in order to accelerate. Force and acceleration go hand in hand. The direction of the total force has to be the same direction as the acceleration. If the friction is going that way on the truck, what force is causing it to go this way?
The engine, the acceleration, so the normal force.
The-
It's the wheels, because the wheels are traveling in the opposite direction of where the car is going when the car drives, so the friction is gonna be in the same direction as the car.
Yes. Another way of looking at that. Where is? Oh, it's over there. There's one of them at least. If I want to go in this direction, so this is the wheel and I'm heading this way. If I want to go in that direction, the wheel, which way will the wheel turn?
That way.
All right. Think about the friction between here, between this tire and the paper. So as I turn the wheel in that direction, the paper is getting pushed that way. The friction on the ground is that way. Therefore, the friction on the tire is that way. If you've ever been stuck in the mud, and you've been behind the vehicle as somebody guns the engine, that splatter that you're getting is the friction on the ground being shot as the ground's loose. That force on the ground is being pushed back towards you. That's the stuff that kicks back. So the friction on the tire is in that direction. It opposes the direction of desired motion, desired relative motion. The point of contact is down here. This part of the tire wants to go that way. Friction opposes that by going in the other direction on the tire. And we got one more pair of frictions.
Is it on Greg
And,
in the seat, like in the truck?
oh, we have 2 more pairs of normal forces. Missed that one, thank you. Which way is it acting on him?
Is it to the right?
Why?
Cause he wants to go to the left, so. Wait.
Yeah. If there were frictionless between them, he would basically stay here and the truck would go that way. In other words, from the truck's point of view, he'd be sliding backwards. Also, there are no forces to the right. There's gotta be something there. All right, one more pair of normal forces.
Talk about the rod again?
Yeah. Because if he's pushing on the rod, he's pushing forward on the rod. If you think about, if I push in that direction, there's a normal force being applied to the rod, but also my hand is sliding down it if I'm going straight that way. I can feel this thing, as I'm pushing this way, I can feel this dragging my hand up that, like that. So the friction on my hand is upwards, friction on the rod would be the opposite direction. So the friction on my hand was upwards. It has to be the opposite direction there. that's a test level problem.
How many points is it?
Pardon?
I said, how many points is it worth?
That must be the whole test.
10 raw score points, you know, what that amounts to in terms of percentage. Each test is a little different. The first student never to get one of these problems completely correct was a 110 student. I asked some more questions from like 110 up through 251. Because there's a lot of places to make a careless error. You had one friction backwards because you're in test brain and not normal brain. The ones who really suffer on this are people who, I look at it and there's like 5 forces written on there. Yeah. I hope that the student who writes down 5 forces is thinking, yeah, I don't know how to do this. I know it's not 5 forces. There's not 5 forces. First off, unless there's another, there's going to be an even number of forces. Students leave subscripts off. If you left subscripts off, I would give you credit for one of the pairs, and then you'd lose. You'd only get a half a raw score point per each subsequent one. All right, any questions on this lovely beast?
So like, in a different scenario, what would other be?
Other is an example, shows up when it's sort of given in the problem. A 5 Newton force is pushing on a box. What's causing that? I don't know. All I know is there's this 5 Newton force there. That's an example of other. So it's explicitly stated in the problem, there's this force involved. And either you don't know what the source of the force is, or it really is irrelevant. Textbook problems typically have an other in them. Because like the 2 forces acting on the box problem that we did before the quiz. That's an example of other, because I don't know what's causing those forces.
How do
Penelope?
you label other?
Somehow different from the others. Typically, you'll see F sub A a lot for applied force. Or, F1, F2.
Okay, but like, do we just like match an arrow up with it? And we're like, I don't know what this
So
is.
there will be an actual force between the other force and whatever's causing the other force and whatever it's being acted on.
Say it again, sorry.
So there will be normal force between whatever's causing the other force and whatever's acting on.
Potentially, it depends on what's, if there's a 5 Newton force pushing on the box, then yes, there's a normal force. Like, so I got a box, 5 Newton force acting on it, and then something over here, don't know what it is, but there's a 5 Newton force acting back. Yep. If I just said there's a 5 Newton force acting on it, I don't know whether it's normal or friction or whatever other force it could be. All right, I think the question was answered. I guess you asked it, Penelope. Did I answer it? Or was it
You
answered?
kind of made it sound like you just make it up, so we just try to, it's like if we break it out into a diagram, what do you want us to label the other as?
That,
You just,
whatever feels right.
okay, so we make that.
Some students have put a capital O there with subscript or not. Typically, I don't have other in these problems. There have been times I've been writing it up and I'm thinking, oh, I told the class that I wasn't gonna do an other. All right, so let me change this. So, I'm not saying it now just in case it feels right to put another, but it'll be written in the text itself of the setting up the problem of, there is this force acting on such and such. All right. I know I just started to stop this, but in terms of posting it, it's still a lot easier if we have a nice break between chapters.